Hey everyone, so Leanne here from Kingdom Bloggers. Today we are going to talk about categories and tags and how important it is that you understand exactly what they are used for and how to use them correctly for your blog. Categories and tags are one of the most or should I say, improperly used things on a website. And so just so you understand your categories and your tags, we'll talk about what the difference is and when to use each one. But your categories in particular are very, very important for your site structure and the beginning stages of building SEO juice for your website. So it's very important that you understand how to use them so that you can use them right from the beginning. All right, so what is the difference? Okay, so your site structure is basically when Google comes in, the Google crawlers, they come in through your domain, right? The name of your blog and the header, all that stuff we can't see. And the first sort of hallways, if you will, the doors that it comes to are the categories. Normally, you have those on your navigation menu. And the names that you give them is like the first indication. Okay, it's this, this, and this. Okay, so this is kind of what this site is about. But the next kind of level of that is what's inside the door, right? And so when it goes into this category, every piece of content that's in that hallway, so every piece of content that has been given that category, should truly fall only in that category. So it's kind of if you think of like a filing system, right? And let's say you're filing your recipe cards and you have one folder, if you will, for I don't know, breakfast recipes. You have another one for lunch and another for dinner. And inside each one is only recipes meant for that particular type of meal. Now, of course, we can totally eat scrambled eggs for dinner, but you get what I'm saying, right? And so it's very important that your categories are separate and individual from each other, but also similarly related. And I know that's kind of a contradicting statement, but I'll help you understand. And so, you have to be very careful in how you outline your categories because when you start creating your content, all the different blog posts you're going to write, at the end of the day, each post should only fit in one category. What I see often a lot of times is every post is assigned to every category. And they kind of do it how we do hashtags on Instagram. And that's just not how it works. This is how you are literally telling the crawlers, this is the content I have on my site. And everything in this hallway is going to be about this. Everything in this hallway is going to be about this topic. And together, these topics all make sense when you look at them together, but they are still very individual hallways. Okay, so what does that look like? I'm going to share my screen here. So this is uh, just a white screen in Canva that I'm using as sort of a whiteboard. So let's say you're going to do prayer, Bible study, and Christian living. Okay, these all make sense for a Christian blog. They are individually very specific categories. So even though they're related, they're all, Christian stuff, they're still very specific. And so in your prayer category, you would only put content about prayer, how to pray, prayer methods, things like that, actual prayers, anything related to prayer. In your Bible study category, you would maybe do actual studies, character studies, how to, like Bible study methods, things like that. But literally everything here is about studying the Bible. And although, part of Bible study, you might pray in your study, this category is still about studying. Anything related specifically to prayer would be in the prayer category. And then your Christian living is more of your devotional stuff. So if it's not a method, if it's not an actual Bible study, but maybe it's more of a spiritual growth devotional, how should Christians respond to gossip? Well, yeah, you're going to reference scripture, but this isn't an actual Bible study. This is just more of a conversational type piece of content. And so it would go in the Christian living. Every once in a blue moon, you may have a piece of content that could go into categories, but from the bigger picture of it, when you are crafting your structure for your site, mapping this stuff out from the beginning, you have to have clear, separate individual categories, clear lines, and all of the content that goes into them needs to be very in line with what the title is. And so I think this is one of the most common mistakes I see with a lot of blogs, newer Christian blogs, is they sort of just put three categories that really are all the same thing. And then they assign all three categories to every post. And that really doesn't do anything for your SEO. And it actually confuses not only the crawlers, but your readers, because the categories are often a link somewhere on the post. And if they click that, it should go to more on that kind of category. But literally every link's going to go to the same stuff. So there's no separate list to find more specific things. Every list literally has the same stuff. So some other ways to look at this might be, so on mine, I have Bible study resources. I have Christian living spirit. Maybe you have, maybe you're a parenting blog. So you might have, family discipleship, motherhood, raising children. I don't know. Again, very separate. So the motherhood stuff, maybe that would be like self-care and, pouring spiritually into the mom. The family discipleship would be just things the family could do together, different activities and, resources for that. And then maybe you have a spiritual growth category or something else. But again, very clear, very distinct categories, very distinct hallways, lines, and your content must be specific to that. You cannot keep writing content that falls in all the categories. So as you're outlining your content, figuring out the kinds of stuff you're going to be writing for, you got to kind of sort them. It's like, okay, here's all brainstorm 20 ideas for blog posts. And then, okay, these should go here, these should go here, and these should go here. But if as you're kind of trying to, grab them all together and they really all go in all of them, then you might need to go back to the drawing board into like your overall site structure, because it simply isn't going to make sense to the Google crawlers. And ultimately, if it doesn't make sense to them, your site's just not going to grow, because Google will not put your content, it's not going to index, it's not going to put it in search results. And that is ultimately how we get found as bloggers, is through search results. So, okay, so that's your categories. Now, I would recommend, when you're first starting your blog, or even if you've been blogging for a long time and you're like, wow, I'm just not making progress, let's go back to the drawing board, start with 3. I mean, you could even start with 2, right? But do not start with 5, 6, or 7 categories, right? You see websites that have that, and a long time ago, before everybody learned how fun blogging was, you could have what we call a lifestyle blog that talks about a bunch of different things and has categories that really don't relate to each other, like, prayer, Bible study, and travel in Europe. You cannot do that anymore. There's so much content on the internet that Google needs to be able to associate your site with one particular kind of folder, right? So if you're writing about too many different varying things, Google just does not know what to do with it. So you need to reel it in and really focus on the who and the what. Who is your target audience, and what are you trying to pour into them? What are you trying to help them with? And use that to figure out what your hallways are, your categories. Now, as you create more and more content later on, you might end up with some subcategories. So let's say under Bible study, you find that you have a lot of posts on methods. You have a lot of posts that are character studies, right? And so you could come back and reorganize the content that's already there and add subcategories and move all those particular ones into that subcategory. But that's something you do later. You should not start your blog right out the door with subcategories and all the extra. You have to start with a foundation, a very simple foundation, and build from that. Now, what about tags? So tags are part of the taxonomy as well. When I say taxonomy, you know how when you shop on like a clothing website or a store website, up at the top, so every link you click, so let's just say you go to, I don't know, Walmart, right? Walmart.com. And you click on clothing or apparel. I think it's called apparel. And then in there, the subcategories, you have men's, women's, children's, whatever. So let's say you click on women's. Then it'll give you another one. And it's, blouses, pants, whatever, right? And so it's a subcategory within another subcategory. That's your taxonomy. And when you go through that, when you go backwards, it takes you back to the starting point, the overarching category. Your tags kind of work that way too. Tags are not necessary. I would recommend, if you're going to use tags, to make all tags no index, because each new category, each new tag you create does create a new page, a new URL for that tag. And you don't want to create extra stuff for Google to have to do something with. So just make it no index. But tags really can get out of control. Number one, if you're going to use tags, pick one for the topic. Here's what I mean. On Instagram, we would hashtag mom, motherhood, mommy, mother, momming, mom life, all the ways to say mom. You don't do that in WordPress. Pick one, motherhood. Anytime you're writing a post that you feel would go into that sort of it's not a subcategory, but another subfolder, you always use that tag. Don't create a new tag for different ways of saying motherhood. Just pick one. Here's why. If your theme has the tag link visible, it's clickable. So if they click on that link, it should take them to an archive feed of all the posts related to motherhood. So if you have mom, life, and motherhood, they're literally all going to the same place, and you've triplicated content and really added more stuff for Google to have to do something with, which could actually hurt you in the long run. So clean up your tags. Honestly, I don't really recommend using them except in very specific kind of ways. I personally use them because I have so much content. I use them more for me than my readers. They're not visible. The links are not visible for my readers. So number one, they are no index. But I have so much content. And so when each year rolls around and I'm making my emails for the different season, I have tags for each holiday. So any content I have, say for Christmas, and I only use Christmas literally to cover anything after Black Friday. Well, I mean, except Thanksgiving. Anything Thanksgiving is all things gratitude, grateful, literally Thanksgiving. And then anything Christmas, whether it's gift guides, whether it's, the Christmas story, Bible verses for Christmas, anything really to do with Christmas is tagged Christmas and nothing else. That way, for me, I can go into my post dashboard and do a search for the tags, the Christmas tag, and find every piece of content. That way, as I'm sending out my emails and scheduling social media, I have all my Christmas content right there in front of me. And that way I can repurpose it from year to year. If you're doing a series on something, you might use the tag to help you keep track of that series. If you say did a gratitude series, you would have a URL for the tag. It would be yourblog.com/tag/Thanksgiving or thankful, whatever. And you could put that link in your email, and then your reader could see every post that you've written in that particular series. So again, use them sparingly, but if you do use them, make them no index. And if your theme enables you to disable them from being clicked, so to remove it, then do that so your readers aren't clicking them. But honestly, I would just be very, very mindful of how you're using them because, again, we tend to misuse them because of how Instagram has trained our minds to use hashtags. These are tags, not hashtags. So anyway, I hope all that made sense. Your site structure is so important for the overall success of your blog. I know I say everything that I say is important, but it really is. But your site structure is literally the blueprint for your website. And that is the way the Googles come in. They crawl through that blueprint. And what you have there, the signs on the door, so to speak, and what's inside the door, all of that tells Google the information it needs in order to start indexing your content. And so if you have the lines blurred, then Google's just really not going to understand it, and it's going to have a harder time really knowing what to do with your content, which means you may not see the success, in other words, organic search results and things like that you're hoping for. So anyway, I hope all of this made sense. Be sure to like this video, follow us here at Kingdom Bloggers, and leave a comment, reach out to me. Join my Facebook group. That link's below also. If you have any questions about categories and tags, and maybe you just need feedback on, do you think these three work? Let me know. I will totally help you try to map this out so that you lay the right foundation for your Christian blog so that you start reaching the people that your message was meant to reach. All right, everyone, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.